So, welcome back. Today, I would like to share a little bit about polarities and how you can begin to teach yourself to be less reactive or less polarized unless you choose to be. So, I just want to take a moment and make a note. For those of you who might feel anxious about watching the whole video, play it in the background. You do not need to be watching my face. I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting here talking. So you can play this like a podcast if you find the conversation valuable. I also want to say I am not having these conversations in a social media, gotta get my bullet points out and make sure that I make a sale kind of way. I eventually will probably use this as some way of making income, cash flow, but my real joy in sitting down for these things is to share my experiences and to help broaden your perspective, which means then that you have more tools, more range, more depth to draw from and apply in your own life. That's really what I'm here for. So I will ramble. I will pause when I'm looking for words. Words are important to me and I love them. They're delicious. Like they're delicious in my mouth when I'm like, oh yeah, that's the word. So it's a pleasure for me to pause. And when I rush, which I do, and it's usually because I feel anxious to perform for people, to make it make sense, to make it quick, because, we're still buying into this idea that we can't focus on something or give our attention to something for an extended period of time. I'm going to tell you right now that's bullshit, because we have the capacity to develop muscle, to develop skills. It will take effort. But the idea that we can't apply effort to the experiences that we want is nonsense. And I would love for you to break out of that conditioning and programming if that's where you find yourself. Oh, I can't focus, I can't concentrate. Well, maybe right now it's difficult and challenging, but it is something we can train ourselves to do. So please, if there's something you've been meaning to learn or something you've been wanting to pay attention to, and the excuse that you've had is that you can't give it the attention that it needs, I am asking you to learn how to give it the attention that it needs, because we do still have the capacity to learn. Now, when I fall all over my words like that, it's usually because I'm really fired up about something, which does also happen frequently. So I just wanted to put that little note in there because I've received some messages from dear friends, people who know me, and they're like, "I'm so sorry, I haven't been able to watch it all, or I just don't have the time, or whatever." And I'm like, it's fine, just play it in the background. This is not an episode on Netflix where you need to be paying attention to the screen. Just play it in the background like music. It's a conversation. Relax. So, polarity. One of the stories that's going around about the times that we're in is that we are in a time of heightened polarity. And you can pause this video and do a quick inventory or a slow inventory of your life and your experiences and ask yourself if this is true. Are you being exposed to heightened polarity? Or do things seem pretty much the same as they've been in recent memory for you? I'm going to share an example of how this is showing up in my life, and just a little bit of view into what I'm struggling with. So I have been talking a bit about AI. I have to remember, probably not so much on this channel. But anyway, AI is big on my mind. And it is, for me, it's because I am looking for the middle path for my adoption of the technology, my creation with the technology, and my sense of responsibility and stewardship to the planet that I have always, since very, very young, been in love with and felt a responsibility to. So when I come into spaces where someone's sharing something that they created with AI, and in the spaces that I spend time in, there are people doing some pretty impressive things with AI, including the visual video creation and the music creation. And I'm talking about kids through people in their senior years. So I am not having the experience of AI is creating brain rot and AI is draining our creativity. That is not the experience I'm having with the people that I'm learning with and learning from. On the other side of that are the people who, and this is my experience, this is what I'm experiencing. People who object to AI but don't have anything to offer in terms of how we can approach this technology that doesn't seem to be disappearing. So the objections are real and they are valid and we need to look at them. But if somebody just comes in and drops a comment on a thread or a conversation that stops at me no like AI because it's dangerous, you're not helping. It's not helping the conversation. So there's that. And I do feel polarized from that. But what it reminds me of is my own care and my own sense of responsibility, as I've been saying, to not be someone who overconsumes and not be someone who steals someone else's land so that I'm going to be very dismissive about what I have done with AI so far so that I can play with the new technology. Because that's what happens in my mind. Like, oh, am I actually doing something or participating in something that is destructive? Well, yes, I am. And I belong to a species that seems to have this as part of our programming. So when we develop and continue to develop transportation, we are cutting into roadways and railways, and we're cutting into land that was a habitat for something. When we build new housing, we're cutting into land that is a habitat for something else. That's been a problem for decades. Water has been a problem for decades. And my question then becomes, for those who are opposed to it and not offering a deeper consideration, a deeper viewpoint, a perspective that shows that they have gone deep with the research and have some suggestions for how we can actually engage with this thing that seems to be happening. And what I'm saying there is, yeah, it would be great if we could flip a switch to off on things that are harmful and destructive. But that doesn't seem to be the way the world works when humanity is involved. So what can we do with our creative capacity? And this is where being able to come into a middle ground perspective on many things in our lives. What can we do with our creative capacity to respond to the threats and challenges that we are faced with and that we create? Rather than just, for me, to make the argument without presenting potential solutions beyond just let's stop, because yeah, that makes sense, but we haven't done that in so many cases before. The internet, the development of the telephone system, computers, all of these things require mining of resources, which each time a technology has come on board, our need for resources, when we came into housing, our need for resources was elevated. So we keep elevating it. We haven't stopped yet. And this next level of technology is exponentially, that this is what people say who understand resources, mining, the economic system, the social system, like all of these systems that are interwoven in our development of technology, in our consumption of resources. This technology, artificial intelligence, which by the way has been around for decades, guys, decades, like the 30s, 40s, and 50s. And I think it was the 40s when folks with a scientific mind and a mathematical mind, they started developing this technology. So what I'm saying there is it's not new. It didn't just sprout out of nowhere. It has been in development for generations. So when we're able to look at things that have been in development for generations, we can take a broader perspective. And we need to be able to take broader perspectives on things. And this is why I like to encourage people to be able to hold polarities, in such a way that at some point it becomes a middle ground thinking. At some point that third thing comes into view or is born. So I'm getting a little bit abstract there. So coming back to the AI example, just so that you have a touch point, you can pause this video, stop this video, and just pull up something in your own life that you are polarized around. You're either a hard no or you're all in. Pull that thing up. Hopefully I'll remember to teach you the anchor. So sometimes when I talk like this, there's a lot of imagery that comes into view. And when I tell you to pull up something that is polarizing, I understand that a lot of us don't go into polarized. We don't go beyond the polarity because it challenges us too much. To be able to go beyond the polarity of something, my stance is over here or my stance is over here, means that we have to undo at least some part of our understanding of ourselves. So some people might call that an ego death or ego dissolving or ego dissolution. In order to be able to hold the tension of opposites, which is something that one of my teachers taught me many, many years ago. His name was Brew Joy. You can look Brew up as well. He's not with us in the flesh anymore, but he would spend a lot of time talking about holding the tension of opposites. And this is where this practice that I would like to share with you, this is where this comes from, or this is what it is addressing in a different way, from a different philosophical background, but that's actually not true. Anyway, we'll get there. Our ability to spend some amount of time somewhere on the spectrum of the opposites of a concept, a theme, an experience requires a willingness to let go of some part of who we thought we were. So, for example, my AI example, I thought I was a very earth-based, never going to have excessive technology, no Ring cameras, no Siri, I'm not talking to my phone, blah, blah, blah. Like that's who I thought I was. I started out my professional career as a body worker. I spent my time touching earth, body, earth, all day, every day for years. I sat and learned meditation. I learned how to work with the chakra system, like earth-based, grounded ideas and concepts. I have a permaculture certification. Like, I like my hands in the dirt, and I love soil remediation, and I love mycelium. Like, I love being an earth-bound body. Now, that's a whole nother story. It took me a while to get there. But what I'm saying is I identified with being on the land and being in prayer and ceremony and growing things myself. I had a computer. I did a lot on the computer. I liked it. I liked being able to host Zoom meetings and create brochures. And when I was consulting, when I was doing the nutritional consulting, I led groups online. Like, I like the access that technology gives me. But I had never met the one in me who is willing to sit down and learn about words I'd never learned about. The only one that's coming to mind right now is Hashgraph, and that has to do with the cryptocurrency market. And I don't understand what Hashgraph means, but it's like that kind of language. I am learning a language that, like, it's virtual. I have a hard time reading virtual PDFs. Like, if they're longer than 12 pages, I have a hard time with that because it's not real. My body still says it's not real. Give me a book. Like, print that out. I'll sit and read the hard copy. But I'm learning about agentic AI, and I'm learning, I learned how to scrape websites. That's something I learned how to do, how to go and gather data from websites. Like, that's not something I ever thought I would be interested in learning how to do. But I've spent the last year trying to understand this technology. I still don't understand it. I've created some really cool things with it using my own creative, like, this is what I would like to see in the world. How do we make this thing happen? But I had to let go of my attachment to being a good person. A good person is someone who cares about the environment. That's a good person. A bad person is someone who is drawn to technology and doesn't ask questions. A bad person is someone who creates memes with AI or says thank you to the AI. Okay? I think I've given you enough of an example. If you stop the video, I'm sure that you can reflect on some area of your life where you have been challenged by your own self-concept when presented with another option. And if you have not had that experience of being challenged by your own self-concept, it's a really good challenge to take on. It's a very good skill to have. And I encourage you to develop it. You're not going to like it. It's not going to feel comfortable. But I encourage you to develop it because you're going to need that skill moving forward in the world. Whether or not AI disappears, it's an important skill to have, to be able to say, I might not be who I thought I was. And then go through the mind mess that creates and learn how to develop some skills. Okay, let me talk a bit about where this technique that I'm going to share comes from. So years ago, I studied with the iRest Institute. I don't know if they actually have institute in their name. It's been a while since I've looked at the certificate, but if you look up iRest or integrative restoration and Dr. Miller, you will find the I hesitate to call them organization, but you'll find the organization. And I'll call it a school of thought that I learned this through. It was introduced to me in yoga classes and meditation classes prior to this, but I was able to go deep with the practice and understand where it was coming from when I studied with iRest. And I'll see if I can, wow, how are we already at 20 minutes? This is amazing. Okay, I'll have to speed this up. And then in another video, I'll come back and talk about the background of this practice. So if you have done Yoga Nidra in a yoga class, you have a sense of what this could be about. I'd also encourage you to look up progressive relaxation, how to do progressive relaxation, or look up a progressive relaxation script. They may not be calling that, they may not be calling it that these days. But you should be able to find something that has you moving from points on the body. Sometimes it's the top of the head to the bottom of the feet. Sometimes it's the right side to the left side. Basically, you're learning how to calm your system down so that your mind can rest. Your body can rest, your mind can rest. You can pull down a script and record this in your own voice, or there are probably still people who have recordings on YouTube and other places where you can let somebody else walk you through progressive relaxation. That's really useful if you are not able to just drop into your body, which usually takes people some practice to be able to drop into the body and settle down. I think I'm going to have to make a second recording for the practice itself. So I'm going to stop here. And what I shared here is just some of the mental background about why I feel it's so important to be able to learn how to come out of the polarized and into something that doesn't have to be perfect middle, but on the spectrum, like able to see other perspectives and able to respond, able to have conversation, able to be receptive to new ideas, even if it's new ideas about the thing that you believe in wholeheartedly 100%. We need to be able to have conversations with one another. That is something that's still missing from our society. And being able to hold the tension. Another way of saying this is the pain of this and that. The aggression of this and that. It's not that the pain and the aggression and the tension is bad. It's that there's an appropriate place for some people to hold those lines, but we need more of us to be able to hang out in the middle and work and collaborate with one another. And that's what I'm interested in encouraging. And a lot of what I talk about, my interest is I'm interested in supporting people and learning how to collaborate with ourselves and with one another. And that often means that we have to come into some uncomfortable spaces within ourselves and in the dynamics with other people. If we cannot listen to other people telling their story, we will not be able to come into any new agreements with one another. We will not be able to adapt. We will not be able to evolve with evolution. We will be evolved upon. Things will happen to us rather than happening with us. And I'm more interested in a happening with society. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to make a recording of the practice. Thanks.